to be talking about infectious mononucleosis, commonly known as mono or the kissing disease. Infectious mononucleosis is primarily spread by close contact through bodily fluids, primarily saliva. This means that it can commonly spread through sexual contact and other direct contact with bodily fluids, but also by sharing food, drinks, and utensils. Some of the main symptoms of mononucleosis include extreme fatigue, fever, rash, sore throat, and swollen lymph nodes. Usually people get better within 2 to 4 weeks, but fatigue can continue weeks after that, and in some cases, symptoms even persist for even up to 6 months. On the other hand, some people are asymptomatic and don't experience any symptoms at all. Teens and young adults are more likely to get the disease with all of the symptoms, whereas young children usually do not display any symptoms and the infection often goes undiagnosed. The disease is most commonly caused by the Epstein-Barr virus, and the typical symptoms usually appear 4 to 6 weeks after being infected with EBV.
A lot of people think Epstein-Barr and infectious mononucleosis are synonymous, but it's a little more complicated than that, and having a more nuanced understanding is valuable information for your health. Infectious mononucleosis is an infection which is caused by Epstein-Barr virus, a type of herpes virus. This virus is super widespread, with over 90% of the world population being infected, and 95% of adults globally. In developing areas of the world, EBV infection usually occurs in early childhood, often with near universal development of antibodies due to infection by the ages of about 3 to 4. Even in more developed countries, between 30 and 50% of children have already developed antibodies due to infection by the age of 5. The virus was discovered in 1964 by Michael Anthony Epstein and Yvonne Barr through the use of electron microscopy. Epstein-Barr virus is actually shown to be linked with many different illnesses, including mono, various cancers such as Hodgkin's lymphoma, which Hank Green has, and emerging research is beginning to reveal its link to autoimmune diseases such as multiple sclerosis. The link between EBV and mono was discovered serendipitously in 1968. A technologist helping study EBV had been donating blood regularly for experiments because she was one of the few people in the lab who didn't already have EBV antibodies. Then, she suddenly fell ill with mono, and upon testing her blood after she fell ill with the disease, EBV antibodies were found abundant. Thus, they thought there must be a link between the virus and the disease.
So it seems the fact that these diseases were even connected was a complete mystery to scientists for a long time. It might come even more as a surprise to discover that Epstein-Barr and mono are not mutually exclusive, and that while we know that over 90% of the entire world population is infected with Epstein-Barr, it turns out that the rate that EBV actually develops into mono is only less than 50%, and that's only among young adults who are infected. And in addition to this, EBV isn't the only virus that can cause mono. So what gives? What was so confusing to scientists about EBV that they didn't understand the connection? It turns out that Epstein-Barr is like a master infiltrator into your immune system, gaining entry by innocuous acts like touching a door handle, kissing, or sharing utensils, and infecting a specific type of immune cell called B lymphocytes. It enters latency, or becomes dormant, within the cells and waits to use it for its own purposes. During latency, EBV doesn't provoke chaos or immediate symptoms. Instead, it adopts a low-key presence within the infected cells. When conditions are favorable, the virus takes center stage, coaxing the infected B lymphocytes to undergo a dramatic transformation. It takes control of the cellular machinery, compelling the cells to become virus factories, and essentially it can live forever inside of them. When your immune system weakens, gets stressed by some other illness, the host undergoes emotional or physical stress, EBV will often take this opportunity to exploit vulnerabilities in your immune response, which in turn can lead to diseases like mono, and in more rare cases, conditions like cancer.
There is currently no vaccine and no effective antiviral treatment for EBV. Because of this, the only way to protect yourself would be by not kissing, sharing drinks, food, or personal items, and avoiding contact in general with people who are showing symptoms. The virus is only contagious when it is active in the body. The only way to tell if the virus is active would be when you start to develop and show symptoms such as mono within the time frame as mentioned before. Once you develop mono once, you are unlikely to have it again. But the virus can reactivate and become contagious again no matter how much time has passed since the initial infection. There is currently no specific treatment available for mono, but some ways that could help relieve symptoms could be by drinking plenty of fluids for hydration, getting plenty of rest, and taking over-the-counter medications for any pain and fever. However, there are some vaccines that are being developed but have to get tested and go through clinical trials before one gets approved. As we mentioned earlier, research is increasingly showing links between EBV and many other serious diseases like cancers and autoimmune diseases. This means that it is possible to combat many different debilitating diseases by targeting this one virus.